Welcome back to the Boundary Corner podcast. My name is Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler. How you doing, buddy? Thursday night,
man. Having a brew. I am watching the baseball game that's currently on, the Cardinals and the Padres. I'm tired. My son had baseball practice this afternoon.
Hey.
Didn't get home till like 7:30. And then chaos putting two kids to bed. So, yeah, man.
The midnight tequila already.
You gotta tell me about it.
Yeah, man. It's been a good week. A little busy, but nothing too crazy. I am hanging here in the office watching a little Broncos Jets. Riveting. More offense than I expected, though. More offense so far than I expected. Going into halftime now, 30 points total. So
30 points total, and I feel like the over/under line was something abysmal, wasn't it? Because those two offenses actually look pretty terrible.
Jerry Jeudy's went out there and made some plays, and Broncos have looked competent, and the Jets haven't looked abysmal. So,
and they've looked so abysmal. Yeah, over/under line was 41 on that game.
Yeah, so they might anyone that took the over. I mean, hey.
Like, get there.
Way to go.
The undersweats right now. It's the undersweats.
Oh, yeah.
That is the best term ever, because you see a game like this where, like, oh, they ain't getting to 41. 30? What? They're supposed to get 30 in the fourth quarter.
Slow down.
No. Yeah, but, folks, big weekend ahead of college football. Schedule gets even crazier. And, we're going to jump right into it here tonight. Hokies going to go a little bit south this weekend, head down to Wallace Wade Stadium and play the Duke Blue Devils. And like last week, little thing, it's know your enemy. So, Brian, start out here. Let's start with the Duke offense. Going to give some numbers. Duke offense not doing good so far this year, only averaging 254 yards passing, 88-yard rushing. I mean, their run game is non-existent. We talk 5, per carry is what you want. If you're under 4.5, you're okay. Brian, you got the beer there?
Hey, what you got?
Take a sip and listen to this abysmal number. 2.7 yards per carry.
Ouch. Not good.
Not great, Bob. Leading rushers Deion Jackson, 3-star running back out of Atlanta, had a lot of Power 5 offers on his list per 247. He is averaging 4 yards a carry, which that's not good in itself. So the running game's just not been there. The offensive line not played well at all. They've already given up 10 sacks through 3 games. It's the 55th out of the 72 teams that have played. Not good. They've also given up 16 tackles for loss. So you take a look at that. That means 26 times in 3 games that they're getting down in the backfield. We're not counting pressures. We're not counting hits. 26 times. That's 9 times a game. You most times say 65, 75 is your average. Man, that's about 20% of the time they're getting losing yards, not even counting pressures.
Yep.
They do have sort of an unseen star as far as their passing game goes. Noah Gray, their tight end, out of Leominster, Massachusetts, 3-star, came out in 2017, has definitely been their biggest go-to. So maybe they like attacking the seams, like that mismatch. And but clearly, Brian, the biggest star on their team right now was the transfer from Clemson, Chase Bryce, 3-star out of Georgia. What have you seen not only from him, but kind of from this offense in general the first 3 games?
So you kind of talked about it with the offensive line struggles and how that's kind of trickling to other areas of the offense for Duke. They've struggled against all the defensive fronts they played so far. So Notre Dame, BC, and UVA struggle mightily in the run game. And only really average against the against the pass. When they drop back to throw the ball, I mean, we've talked about it before. If you can't run the ball consistently, you don't have the play action. You've got long yardage situations where pass rushes can tee off on you because you're behind on the down. So it trickles all the way down. And Bryce, for all of his attributes, is not a guy that's going to escape the pocket and get you a first down consistently either. So that's kind of been the story. Pass protection struggles. They struggled mightily with blitzing and pressure. So Bryce has guys in his face a lot. And, you mentioned there with 10 sacks, 26 knockdowns. I mean, that's atrocious in a 3-game stretch.
20. So he's been knocked down 26 times with the 10 sacks, so 52, essentially 52. They're getting to. Oh, that's like a quarter of the time they run a play.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we should have no problem taking away their run, and we should have no problem getting to them in the backfield. Now, what we do need to watch out for in their running game is that Deion Jackson, I know you mentioned him already, he can hurt us if he gets to the second level. So he's kind of a bigger bag, 6 foot, 220, good between the tackles, can break a tackle. So if we don't tackle sound at that first level and he gets kind of to the safety level, he can do some damage because he does still have a little bit of a second gear despite that size. Offensive line just has not done a good job establishing the run, so it's put the pressure on Bryce, who is a majority pocket passer.
Yeah.
And he tries to make plays with his arm a lot. Sometimes that's been good for them. Sometimes that has not been very good for them. Kind of got a little bit of Ryan Willis tendencies. I know that's gonna make some Hokies shake their heads a little bit. I mean, he's a guy that has arm talent, but he's also a guy that is going to take some risks because he has arm talent. But what he does like to do is find his tight ends. That's his bread and butter. That's where he's comfortable, and that's where he's going to look, especially when he's got a man coming in his face. So that sounded wrong. All right, he likes to hit. He likes to hit the tight ends on particularly spot routes, seams, and digs. And he really likes the seam and he likes the spot route a lot. You'll see them run the spot routes sometimes with like a little option for the tight end to kind of settle in inside or settle out depending on if there's a zone or a man coverage there. But really likes to take shots up the seam to the tight ends. So it's going to be really important for our linebackers to get proper depth so we can close the distance between the backers and the safeties in those zone coverages that we're running now. When he's throwing to wide receivers, he prefers to go to the slot guy over the X and Z. Really likes the skinny post. So, we're pretty much talking almost a mirror usually. You got the tight end running a seam on one side and probably slot running a skinny post on the other. Doesn't really go outside a lot with the ball. I don't think that's necessarily a dig at his arm. I just think he's comfortable with his vision where he can throw to the middle of the field. So again, we've talked about the primary targets. Noah Gray is the guy that he looks for on some of those seams and those spot routes. Really good at finding space on the spot routes, and he can hurt you up the seam. The other guy that can hurt you up the seam is Jake Marweed. Not as good against the spot route as Gray, but he's a guy that if you looked at the UVA game, he's the guy that had the long touchdown.
Yeah.
I think it was either late first or early second quarter for them when they took the 10, got to 10. So, look out for those two there. But the biggest thing is that, like I said, Bryce has kind of that hero syndrome that gets him into trouble. And that's been, again, a byproduct of the bad offensive line play when, especially when teams bring more than 4. He's got guys in his lap and he takes chances with the football. He's not a guy that you're going to design run plays around. I've seen them use some short yardage packages where they'll kind of run him up the gut just to get the first down, but there's not going to be any designed runs or QB sweeps. And he's not really a scrambler. He'll occasionally maybe take off to try to get a first down on a short yardage, but he's not someone that's going to get you 10 or 15 yards on a scramble. So unless it's wide open. But, we get here, we're talking about Bryce and what he's lived and died by is slinging the ball, and he's had some turnovers, man. Tell us about some of those turnovers.
Some turnovers, it's right now Duke's turnover, it's terrible. I mean, the way that they're turning over the ball, Brian, and the rate they're turning over. It's amazing that they were in the Notre Dame game, and it's amazing they were leading UVA after 3 quarters. 7 interceptions, 7 fumbles. So 14 total turnovers in 3 games.
Ouch.
That's damn near 5 a game. They've only forced 4 interceptions and 1 forced fumble. So a -9 differential in the turnover. That's just not good. And with a team of their talent level, I mean, they're not going to win games turning the ball over that much. I mean, they need to, we started looking back, back and forth, kind of like, okay, well, let's look at some of these games and, where did they do good? And, you mentioned Marwad. He's had 2 catches all year. One was that big 55 down the seam for a touchdown.
Yep.
That's great, but when you're turning the ball over that much and one of your better, more athletic tight ends only has that one big catch, I don't know if he's not seeing the field or what, but as we look like at the Notre Dame game, you watched a lot of that game earlier this season, and I apparently got it because we had stuff going on. But me and you talked about it after the game. They could have won that game. They had a couple untimely turnovers. That was a -1 game. They lost by 14 points.
Yeah.
I think, anything you see from that game that translates to our game this week?
Well, I think there's a few things. So number one, you saw a Notre Dame team that came out and played okay on offense, but probably wasn't firing on all cylinders.
No, not at all.
Especially with some of the communication between Book and the wide receivers. They didn't do a great job of consistently moving the ball downfield on 3rd down and things like that. So I think they could get better at that. But what I did see in that game was Notre Dame's ability to get after the Duke offense and really throw them off. We saw it. They even when they didn't turn the ball over significantly, Duke still had to get short field a couple times in order to get some of those scores. So I think Duke is still going to struggle moving the ball consistently because of those shortcomings, even when they're pretty even on those turnover battles. So I still like our chances, even if we're not forcing 3 to 5 turnovers like Duke's had the last couple games.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, and 3 to 5 and go 5 to 7 because the BC game they have 5 turnovers where essentially they throw 2 picks, fumble 3 more. And that game was just a blowout. It was 26-20 and, 26-6. So a 20 win for BC. And it's one of those things where it's like, again, you see it and it's, as you go back and you start looking and saying, their defense played okay, but 5 turnovers, I think for us, and it's going to be one of those things we can see. But if they turn the ball over, if we win the turnover battle +1 this weekend, we're going to easily cover the spread. I don't doubt that one bit.
Yeah.
Now, the UVA game to me is a little different because going up to the 3rd quarter, and I don't know if this says about UVA or if it says about Duke. You mentioned they had 7. Did you go into the 3rd quarter? They turned it over 4 times. Duke had turned it over 3. They were winning that game with a +1 turnover differential.
Yeah.
It's similar to the Notre Dame game, and I think it's something we can look at and say Notre Dame talent level, UVA talent level. You give them a plus in the turnover margins, they can either be leading you or potentially right in the ball game.
Yeah.
Now, what they did in the 3rd quarter was just, hey, let's do something really stupid, Brian. I know that play just irked the crap out of you, but go ahead and mention, they're driving And all of a sudden, what did they decide to do?
Are we talking about the Calhoun pick?
Yeah, they reversed.
Let's run a wide receiver throwback pass, and then the wide receiver decide, hey, the throwback's not there. I'm going to throw across my body to the guy that's not open, short arm it, and just end up giving UVA the ball on their own 10-yard line when they were already in field goal range, up 3.
Yeah.
Like it was a bonehead play by Calhoun. I know he got the bad end of a pretty big hit as he was letting the ball go, but that's one you either just got to eat or try to get it out of bounds and throw it away, man. You can't take a risk with the ball up 3 against an opponent that on paper is better than you, playing at their place. Like there's so many factors there that you don't make that type of play. And I mean, it's kind of indicative of some of the other just general carelessness with the ball that Duke has shown. I mean, let's talk about the ways that they've turned the ball over. All right. So they've had a special teams turnover.
Yeah.
They've had a fumble by a wide receiver. They've had a wide receiver throw an interception. They've had a quarterback throw an interception. They've had a fumble on a run play. They've had strip sacks. Like other than having a defensive turnover that on the same play the defense gives the ball back, that's the only way that Duke has not turned the ball over at this point.
So basically what you're saying is Duke is essentially showing us how to create a defense's highlight film as we're going into next season. All the ways they're turning the damn ball.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know another, like I said, other than their own defense giving the ball back after they take a pick or a fumble recovery, I don't know another way for them to turn the ball over. And Bryce has been bad at times too. I mean, sometimes he's thrown late and got undercut on throwing some of those seams. Sometimes he's just had a guy in his lap and chucked it to one of those spot routes that somebody's already, playing pretty tight coverage on. I mean, it's hero ball sometimes, and like I said, just a general carelessness with the football, and it's bad because it's even worse when it's crunch time. Like they get worse the more it matters.
Well, the Calhoun pick, at that point in time, the turnover differential was 3-3. This was late third quarter. They were up 2 points already. They were already in field. They could have put that game at 10 and essentially probably set on the ball and essentially gave the Wahoos a
ugly
loss. But they didn't. So, I mean, for us, I think the way we look at those 3 games is say, if we win the turnover battle big, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
If we win it by 1, and I'm taking the UVA game up to the third quarter, they can be competitive. They could be in it. I think we have more talent than UVA. I think we have a better team than UVA. And then I look at the Notre Dame game. We're somewhere between the end of that 3 and that 14 if it's a 1 turnover game.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. Sorry for the kind of brief silence and delay there, folks. Watching the Padres game, Machado jacks one to tie the game up. And when it was one of those things, I'm watching it and he swings, and it's one of those swings and you're like, that's a home run.
That's gone.
So it distracted me. Real live podcasting here, folks. All right, Brian. So obviously we look at their offense. They have their woes. The defensive side of the ball, not too much better, Brian. I mean, we kind of look at it here. Giving up over 30 points per game, 425 yards per game overall, 250 on the air, 150 on the ground, 60% completion ratio. Run game a little bit better at 3.7 per carry, so definitely, not hemorrhaging in a run game. I do think this will be the way our guys played last week, this will be the best offensive line they've seen at run blocking. No knock on Notre Dame. I just think that first game was really rusty for them. Yep. But essentially 5.7 yards per play. Now, the one stat that kind of sticks out that they're pretty good at is third down stops. They're at 38%. So that's a pretty good third down stop percentage, basically, keeping teams from converting, roughly, 3 to 5 times. Now, they have 8 tackles for loss, which is not good. That is 66 out of the 72 teams that played. But as good as that third down percentage, Brian, is, You feel like that's good. How many first downs do you think they've given up in 3 games?
Uh,
38%. You know, they're holding teams on third down.
on my average per game or total?
Total. Let's go total. Because we can do the math
Uh,
like that.
let's see. I think they've got maybe, let's say 50.
Brian, if this was Price is Right, you'd be way off. There's 69 first downs,
Oh,
23 average.
ouch.
So third down's great. Teams ain't getting the third down. They're literally getting there in 1 or 2 downs, so they don't get the job done. Now, this week, Brian, some news broke that they are going to be without a couple of their top defensive backs. And now, Brian, as you started looking at some tape, what are you seeing? Like, you know, they're clearly giving up points, but they're also having to deal with turnover. But what are you seeing that they have to do?
So they're not great up front, but they are pretty gap sound, and they do a good job of getting where they need to be on the defensive front. They like to bring pressure on passing downs. They don't do a good job of getting pressure with just 4.
Okay.
Usually have to bring an extra man to get some really good push. They're not that impressive in the secondary. I think we're going to see even less of that with the guys out. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what we end up getting from them. But I mean, I definitely think that we have an opportunity to make some plays. They do also do a good job of like stunning against the run, so creating some confusion with the offensive linemen. But we saw against NC State that our guys did a pretty good job of picking that up. So hopefully that's going to continue, and they do the same in the passing game. They really want to try to get pressure by confusing the offensive line versus just lining up and out muscling you or throwing a speed rush at you. There's really only one guy that can hurt you from that perspective.
Yeah, and you mentioned it because about that line and the stuff they have to do to confuse. Because by all means, you're telling me right there with what me and you talked about. The interior of their line is very weak, but the outside is damn good. It's definitely the strongest part of their line. The total line has had 10 sacks in 3 games, led by the preseason All-American Chris Rumph, 3-star out of Florida. He has 16 tackles, 1 sack. Victor Demukeji, if I screwed that up, I'm sorry. The 3-star out of Charm City, believe it or not, he had a ton of 38 total offers. A lot of D1 teams were after him. He so far has been really their star as the team as a whole. 8 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. So him and Rumph basically making up half their sack total there. I mean, those guys are good. And, it's one of those things where, it's kind of a bright spot for them. But, Brian, what are you seeing maybe what we can do? Obviously, you mentioned the stunts and stuff. Clearly, they have to do that, probably being the weakness on the inside by trying to confuse, especially with 2 good defensive ends. But what else are they going to have to do?
Yeah, so, I mean, you said it right there. Victor Dimukeji and Chris Rumph are kind of their 2 guys. Rumph more the pass rush specialist, even though he has fewer sacks right now. He is the guy that's going to bring that speed rush pressure off the edge. Dimukeji more of a 3-down player, good against the run, can pass rush. He's probably the guy that you're going to probably game plan a little bit more around just because you're going to see him on a lot more snaps. But Rumph is a guy that can really hurt you in one play, kind of get that speed rush and, throw you for a big loss, potentially get a sack fumble and things like that. So both of them are guys to watch. But neutralizing them, I think we're just going to keep doing what we did against NC State with a lot of inside run, man. UVA did a good job with that, working against Duke's interior. Formed them up. It kind of was a little bit of a death by 1,000 cuts. They had to get some yards here, yards there, but as the game wore on, Talapapa started to find some holes in that defense and was able to get some chunk yardage, and that's when they started to pour on the points there in the fourth quarter. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that, and then I think we're going to see some more of getting our running backs involved in the passing game, whether it's the screen game, some short passes, some flare outs. I mean, things like that. We saw against Notre Dame, Duke struggled tackling those guys in space. Kyron Williams tore them up in the passing game. He had 2 catches. One of them went for big yardage, and Chris Tyree also had some good touches in that game as well. He ended up with some decent passing yards numbers and had some good runs outside the tackles as well. So I think there's a lot of different ways we can attack them from an offensive perspective, trying to get some points on them. But I look for us to start with the run game, establish that, and then work early downs, play action, and then late downs with some blitz beaters so that we can get the ball out of the quarterback's hands, let the receivers make some plays, let the running backs make some plays in the screen game.
All right, let me ask this, Brian. And since I'm watching baseball tonight, I'll put this analogy. To slow down our offense, are they going to have to pitch a perfect game?
Pretty much, I think. I think they've got a little bit of wiggle room, but not a lot. Like that, for example, they can afford maybe one turnover. One turnover, maybe. I just think that we're going to be able to. I think we're going to protect the ball, number one, and number two, I think we're going to do a good job of maintaining drives, getting points consistently, and things like that. And that's something that they don't do well. And so I think even if we don't jump out and beat the brakes off of them in the first quarter like we did in NC State, I think we're still going to pull away late, and with a similar type of point differential at the end of the game.
Oh, okay. Oh, some shades of maybe your prediction later.
Maybe.
All right. Well, let's jump. We've discussed Duke. We've hit their offense, their defense. Let's hit the pivotal players for the Hokies. And Brian, let's go kind of number one, I feel, is going to be strong safety, boundary safety, roaster. With Keonta and JR, a couple other guys filling that spot, a lot of inexperience there. But you mentioned it earlier, and I want you to say it again for the folks. I think it's important to know why those two guys are so important on this defense is because of the tight ends.
Yeah. So we're talking about the tight ends and what they like to run. So they like to run a lot of spot routes, seams, and digs, and those are things that are going to put some weight on those safeties to make tackles, to make sure that they are in the right position in zone coverage. And so guys like Keontae Jenkins, Devon Diablo, even Lakeem Rudolph might see some time in this game. The other true freshman. Yeah. So there's a lot of guys. Tyree Rogers could see some time in this game as well. So anybody that's going to be lining up in that safety area is going to be someone that's going to need to make some plays in this game, because that's where they like to attack, kind of in that 15 to 20 yard range. Up the field in the middle of the field there, whether it's digs, seams, and then underneath the linebackers with the spot routes. So safety play is going to definitely be important, especially in the pass game.
Kind of funny, we start talking about it. Me and you put them 1-2, and we just blend them together because the safeties are going to be important for what they like to do. For them to have any semblance of a chance, A, they're going to have to attack that. And B, I think we're going to have to play really bad at those positions to do it. Now, Brian, you put this guy on here. You said he had to be on here. Who's the other key for the defense based on what Duke looks like on their offensive line?
Justice Reed, ladies and gentlemen. And we could easily say here the entire defensive line, but I'm going to single out Justice Reed, not only because of what I saw him do against NC State, but because I think what he did against NC State is going to be exactly what is going to be great against Duke, and that's bull rush, put guys in the lap of Chase Bryce and make him throw when he's not ready or off his back foot, because he will make those throws. He will not make the smart play and take the sack or throw it out of bounds. He will try to get the ball in there. So I think Justice Reed is going to have a big game, and if he's not directly creating turnovers and sacks, he's going to be forcing maybe one or two.
The other big thing about that to Justice Reed, and you're talking about, how good he is that they're two, obviously their leading receiver is a tight end. The guy who showed last week and he break big plays are tight ends. So if nothing else, that maybe the two positions we feel are very important are going to kind of essentially help each other, because if Justice the first couple drives is eating their tackles alive, I have a feeling those two tight ends are going to have to stay in and chip, and maybe even just say, hey, listen, we're not going to do it, because he's going to get you the quarterback either way. Maybe we can try to find something else. So it's funny because you look at it, it's kind of saying, if we do this, it's going to help these guys out because it takes away their best weapon.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's going to be big for us. I think if we can make them have to adjust what they do best, that's going to create even more problems, I think. I mean, of course, the adjustments are needed because we're taking away their best option, but now they're moving away from their best option, and I don't think any team really wants to do that either.
No. So it's going to be sort of a coin flip for them, right?
Yeah, pick your poison.
Let's see. We can let our quarterback get murdered by this guy, or we can help them and then leave our best weapons on the line of scrimmage. Just not great. Not great for them at all. All right, let's flip over to the offensive side, Brian. Who you got as our number one pivotal players?
I think we've already kind of talked about them a little bit, but it's going to be the running backs again. It's going to be what Herbert and Blackshear can do in the run game. If we're able to get a consistent run game against them, get one guy above 100, maybe at least get our total team above 200, they're going to struggle, man, because that means we're possessing the ball, we're moving it up and down the field on them. As long as we're coming away with points on those drives, I feel confident that we're going to be able to take care of Duke, and we can establish that run well. Herbert between the tackles, Blackshear outside. Blackshear in the passing game, Herbert in the passing game, and in the screen game. I just think that those two are going to be the most important element for us to get a big victory against Duke. If I had to go with some other guys, I'd probably say our tackles. So we got Darisaw and Tenuta here. Their defense, their best players are going to play that defensive end position. So if we can stop those guys out, especially if we don't have to chip or anything, just have our best tackles out there one-on-one, that's going to be big for us, and keep some of that pressure from getting in. If they don't bring they bring more than four, if we can pick up the rush ends, hopefully our interior guys can pick up those blitzes.
Well, the big piece, and we'll go back to Blackshear and Herbert first. We find out Blackshear was literally cleared Friday. He had 1 day of practice.
Yeah.
And I know probably it disappointed you some up there. And me and you kind of, hinted at it a little on Saturday, but they got him out there because let's get him out there and play. He's a weapon. He had the touchdown carry. He had few other carries. But he had 1 day of practice, and that's essentially why we didn't see him in the second half.
Yeah.
Your point with Tenuta and Darisaw, and to what you said earlier about them having to bring the extra pressure. If Tenuta and Darisaw hold up their two best defensive rush ends and they have to bring extra pressure, I feel confident with our third guys on this list, the quarterbacks. They are not only going to find the open man, they are going to find the open men for big games.
Yeah.
If they don't do that, I have a feeling that one of our quarterbacks is going to break 40-plus yard run. Because
I definitely agree with that. We haven't heard whether it's going to be Burmeister starting or if it's going to be Hendon Hooker.
What about Anderson? He could start.
Yeah. I mean, all three could potentially start. I think so. Let's say this. I think all three are going to play at least one snap.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's a very strong likelihood. Hopefully, we see Hendon Hooker as the starter and let Burmeister come in and do his thing, and then get QP in there for some of the short yardage things. I liked a lot of what Burmeister was able to do, especially in the run game. Oh, yeah. And I like that he's a weapon that, if he comes on the field in those roles, he's probably run first, but he has such an ability with passing the ball as well that you can't key on anything.
No.
So you can bring him in and then, like throw a screen or, throw a 10-yard out, and the next thing you know, you run a quarterback sweep and he gets 40 yards. So, I mean, there's so many different things you can do with him because from a game plan perspective, he's running the same game plan that Hooker would. He just has probably a couple extra run plays that you're not going to see Hooker run at all, or at least not, 3 or 4 times a game like you would with Burmeister.
Absolutely. And any three of those guys that start, I'm hoping everybody gets at least 7 snaps.
Okay.
That to me will say multiple series for all guys. For Quincy, say it. If it is 3rd and 2 or less, put him on the damn field, Brad Cordell. Quincy's 6'4", 250 pounds. If he runs his own read and takes it, he is going to he's going to fall forward damn near 5.5 feet.
Yeah, a couple times he was running those plays when he was in the game against NC State. Even when they had the play snuffed out, he was falling forward for 2 or 3 yards.
So please use him. Just please use him, man. All right, Brian. Let's go to some interesting things because we know Justin Hamilton. Essentially, everything we've heard, he tested positive for coronavirus. So
that's Friday.
On Friday. So he is out 10 days, so he will not be back this Saturday, barring something strange, unless they proved it was a false negative.
Yep.
So, Brian, everybody knows Tracy Clays is back. Daryl Tapp's also back. Daryl, apparently how he tested, he was quarantined to a booth. I don't know if he hit day 14 and they let him be in there, but they wouldn't let him on the field.
It was weird. They said, he wasn't listed as a coach that was out of the game, but he also wasn't on the sideline, which is his usual position.
Yeah. So Tracy Clays is back. Ron Smith called the game last week. This is the debate that me and you got into and some other folks. Who should call the game this week, Brian, from the defensive side of the ball?
Who should or who will?
All right.
Because I think there's schools of thought here as far as who will, and then there is my opinion of who should.
Okay.
And that may be different.
All right. So for you, how about this? I'm going to tell you I'm going to give you my opinion.
Okay.
And you tell me if it's your head or if it's your heart.
Okay.
I think you keep Ryan Smith in there. I think you let Ryan Smith call one more game at it. And it's not that Tracy's not back and Tracy's not a good play caller, but I think you need to get Tracy more acclimated to being ready on the sidelines. Tracy did not get to go through that last week. If Tracy had been leading up, calling the game all week, maybe. Get Tracy acclimated to the sidelines. We did not have a linebackers coach last week. Let him get prepped for that. Let Ron, he did a very good job. My opinion, Jaham's still probably, along with the staff, putting what they want to do together. And then that's my opinion. I think you keep Ron. So for you, what, is that the head or the heart?
I think that is the head.
Okay.
Because I think the smart play is that everything we were told was that when they were practicing for backup play caller, which to me says the guy that calls the plays if the primary play caller is not available, that guy was Ryan Smith going into that game. And that tells me that I don't think that will change. I don't think they make the adjustment to move those duties over to Tracy Clays just because Tracy Clays is now available.
Although Tracy's track record is damn good.
Tracy has a very good track record. I will agree. Tracy has called plays for some good defenses, especially the defenses that he had up in Minnesota. And he had some damn good start with Wazoo before year 2 when things kind of fell out between him and Mike Leach.
Yeah, that 2018 defense at Wazoo was really damn good for Wazoo and being on the other side of an air raid offense.
Yeah.
So I don't. I think it's a win-win whoever calls it. Um, because I say you keep Ryan because you keep the same until Ham gets back. But on the other hand, if Ham's back next week, Brian, and now I'm contradicting myself here, but Thursday night, my tall boy's gone. Uh, thank God the Cardinals are losing right now. But Ryan Smith, once Ham gets back, he will be up in the booth where most either whether they're the safeties or the defensive back or the cornerback coaches is going to be.
Yep.
You know that from I'm sure your guys at Sydney, there was always probably a defensive back coach in the booth just to see how everything's looking from above because they need a wider view of the field.
Yep.
So I think I think we're win-win either way.
Okay.
All right. But we agree that we think Smith will be calling. We'll know. We'll know pretty quick, won't we? If they show a sideline shot and you don't see Ryan Smith down there, Tracy's calling plays.
Yeah.
They really threw a curveball and Ryan's calling plays from the booth.
That would be different. That would be something we haven't seen very often.
Not at all. Brian, who got the 25 this week?
Brian Johnson got the 25, man. Kicker.
Well, after his performance last week, drilling 2 plus 45-yard field goals that would have been good from 60, say he deserved.
Yeah, he put some leg into those, especially considering you had a backup long snapper. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into a good kick, and I mean, he was able to make it work and make it work at a high level, man.
Absolutely, and great giving him that 25. The other good part, and you talk about him. If you look at him this year, he looks bigger. And going back to him and Oscar's little This Is Home.
Hardhead series.
Sorry. That was 7 months ago, and the world.
Yeah.
So, but they talked about themselves about they don't want to be known as specialists. They want to be known as football players and how they bust their asses in the weight room to get to that level. And I think you've seen it from him from coming in and taking over last year. He's kicked it further and further and further, which is awesome. So really good for him getting that 25. Let's hope he doesn't have to get anything but extra points this weekend, though, Brian. And let's get to our predictions.
You want me to lead off, buddy?
You lead.
All right. I've been throwing this around several different ways and just trying to figure out where I wanted to go with it. But I settled on 42-20.
Ooh, okay.
Virginia Tech, obviously.
Virginia Tech, obviously. We cover the spread, obviously. Do you think it's like a boa constrictor type game, or is this going to be like an NC State? The first 3 rounds, we knocked their asses down 3 times, and they essentially get a few pointers back in because of, us playing Tyler Matheny's of the world and walk-ons and getting everybody a chance to shine.
I think we put 10 on them early, and then I think we kind of trade for a little bit and then pull away at the end.
Okay.
So 10 early, trade some touchdowns, trade some field goals, probably somewhere around 28 or 31 to 17, and then we kind of take over from there and close it out. They might get a field goal late to get to the 20.
Yeah. Me and your ear were close on this one. Last week we were pretty close too. You had it as a 7-point game. I had it as a 4-point game. I'm going 41-24. But I think it's going to be different. I think our offensive line is going to come out and mash them early. I think we're going to walk into a locker room at somewhere, 24-28 to like 7, and just kind of grind out the second half, make them do stuff. Now I'll say this: if what I think is going to happen in the first half happens, and they start getting loose with the ball, it could be a 50-burger. Because if they get done with the ball and not essentially play for getting guys experience, play for getting confidence built up. They start swinging it, we start picking it. Big, big blowout. Uh,
Yeah,
the
I could definitely see that. I could definitely see us if there's a bunch of turnovers like we've seen. I could definitely see us blowing this thing up pretty big. But
yeah,
I think that they're gonna, after having two like that, I don't think they give us five after having back to back games of giving five. But if they're at two or three, then I think we're still gonna be where we want to be.
I think if they give us 2 or 3 and we don't give them, we give them 0 to 1.
Yeah.
I would like to up mine to 51-24. I try to go, and I try to make a prediction. I try to say if this game is clean cut as possible, this is what I think is going to happen. The line I think is between 11 and 12. I think we're 17 points better than them if there's no turnovers at all. That's just the way I feel. I don't know if you try to think about turnovers and stuff, and if you do, that's great. That's just philosophy is how you make predictions. So the Padres hit another 2 home runs and now lead by 6. I think we're both happy the Cardinals are losing.
Oh yeah, a Braves fan. I hate the Cardinals in the playoffs. Get them the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey,
F-bombs.
F-bombs. Drop them. All right. Brian, got our predictions in. We got our game under. Now, let's do a quick shot of what happened in the other games around the ACC this week. Let's start with where game day was, the Saturday night ABC game, which really wasn't a game. I mean, Jesus, Lord have mercy on me.
What the hell was that?
That was a team that had essentially been dumped on by its old head coach. And I'm not talking Willie Taggart, I'm talking Jimbo Fisher. That was brutal. 52-10. That's not Florida State Miami that we grew up with. That's not what we've seen the last decade. And for us, we're trying to scout Miami and trying to get stuff on Miami. It sucks that was the same time, so we couldn't focus on it as much. But I couldn't tell you. Florida State has quit, so I couldn't tell you if Miami is back or now you just played a really shitty team and they did good teams do to shitty teams.
Put it this way, Florida State's so bad, I completely miscalculated how bad GT still is.
We'll get to that in a moment. Although, speaking of that, you had a good week other than that one game.
Yes, I did.
All right, well, let's hit up a couple of the other ones here, Brian.
We talked about the next one a good deal already.
We did, but let's look at it a little bit more from a UVA side because we deep dived into the Duke side. And my biggest takeaway is this. You were essentially even turnover margin with Duke in the third quarter, and you were down.
Yep.
They better be worried. And in that case, people say the defense played great. Yeah. Listen, you're not going to force 7 turnovers most games. And you still gave up 20 to them.
Now, I will say to their credit, they got a short field. Duke got a short field 2 times. One off of a kickoff fumble to open the game by UVA. Okay. And then another, I can't remember if it was a fumble or an interception. I think it was an interception thrown by Armstrong towards the sideline, and that set them up with from the 24, 25-yard line. So they had short fields twice, got 10 points out of it. That had something to do with it, but I mean, we talked about it earlier with Calhoun throwing the pick when they were driving up 3. So. I'm not saying that UVA is a bad team. Definitely not a bad team. They've got a pretty good offensive line, even though it's thin. They have a really good defense, and they've got a quarterback that is still undetermined. I'm not going to say I didn't see anything from him in that game that scares me, but I did see a guy that he commanded the offense well, but he did also make some mistakes.
All right, Brian. You mentioned their 2 short fields. They also had a short field in the fourth quarter. They also had at the 50-yard line in the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah. UVA definitely had a bunch of good.
They had damn good field position, too. So, yeah.
I was just saying, you said they got 20 on that defense. Yeah, but 10 was really short. Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm sitting here saying, well, how many points did UVA's offense, which is kind of the unknown with them, how many did they get off of 7 turnovers?
Yeah. Shout out. I will say shout out to their very tall, definitely not the next Randy Moss, but very good player, Lavelle Davis. He had a good game. Kind of probably the guy that's going to emerge as the number 2 target in their offense behind Jana. So that's going to be a guy to look out for going forward.
Who's tall? Who's are skinny?
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to dig at them all I can. But also, I think he had a lot of his catches were late in the fourth quarter on those turnover drives too. So, where was he in the other earlier parts of the game?
True.
Were they afraid to use him? Were they afraid to hide him? I think I don't know if this weekend we're going to know a lot about UVA. We'll discuss that a little later, but it's going
to depend on how close that game. If that game is close, I think we learned something about UVA. If that game is a blowout, I don't think we really have anything we can take away from it. So, and more than likely, it's going to be a blowout. And we'll get to that as we move along here.
The other game, good game, Louisville Pitt.
Yeah.
What did we learn about Kenny Pickett?
He is still struggling to win games. He won. They won the game.
They won the game.
But he's not gonna. He's still a quarterback that's not gonna hurt you too much, but he's also not gonna go out there and win anything for you. And as bad as Louisville played in pretty much every phase
of that game,
especially on defense.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like that shouldn't have been a game. It should have at least been a 10-point game, if not more. Pitt's defense, especially their front, they definitely miss some of their offensive linemen that they lost in the draft there, because they could not hold up from an offensive line perspective against that Pitt front. And I know Pitt was good, but I think Louisville's offensive line is so bad that they really couldn't get some of those typical big plays down the field and in the outside rush game that you see them take advantage of.
Yeah, again, I think with those two teams, what we've seen on tape so far, and if we're completely healthy, I think those games, those are the ones I'm starting to put to the side and say we play who we are. We should win those games.
Yeah,
because of what I'm seeing from them, unless they have massive, drastic turnarounds.
I'll say those games have went from what I considered toss-ups at the beginning of the season to kind of, if the line was at least like 4.5, I'd take.
You just bet the legal limit on the Hokies to win those games easily. Yeah, Pitt, Kenny Pickett ain't it. Their defense is good, not great. Louisville, the offensive line, it's bad, and that defense should be shredded cheese against any capable offense.
Absolutely.
All right, last one. How do you feel about the BC game now after their last-second field goal against Texas State?
It tells me that BC beat Duke primarily on the strength of turnovers and not much else.
Very true, man. I mean, it was, they go down, they struggle, they're 2-0, but just kind of looking, that run game is just, it ain't what it is, man. I mean, I'm sitting here just kind of going through some of the stuff we looked at, and it's like they ran the ball 27 times, and they ran the ball 27 times for 193 yards. For 87 yards. That's not 4 yards to carry. That's not BC. Under 200 yards passing. I mean, you take a look at it, they probably should have lost that game, but they didn't. So
yeah. It took a late drive to kind of put it away there.
It literally took a touchdown in under 2 minutes and a last-second field goal to win that game. And Texas State is a 1-3 team with losses. Lost to SMU by a touchdown. UT San Antonio by 3, which that game was insane. I remember watching that here, and they lost to Louisiana Monroe by 21. So, I feel better about the BC game now.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I think the BC game against Texas State tells us a little bit about BC, and it tells us a little bit more about Duke and what they
Yeah.
present coming into this game. I mean, if we can get the turnovers like they had against, like, and I don't think we even need 5, but if we can just get them to turn the ball over some, I think we're going to be able to handle Duke pretty well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Brian, we have some predictions and some picks to make here, but let's do a little reverse. Let's look at last week. Brian, what'd I say? One game got you. One
Yeah.
game got you. Brian, 5-1 last week. I was 500, so didn't lose any money. We are both 10 wins, 7 losses. So if anybody out there was brave enough to put money on our picks from week 1 to week 3, we would have both made you money.
Yeah,
So,
there we go.
I'm taking a look here. Yeah, we're what are we? 10 wins over 7.
I would have made you curse if you did a 16 parlay.
Oh no. Well, that's why you don't do parlays. We're running at about a 50% clip. So now this week we are putting out here 3 ACC games, and we're mixing it up, and we're going 5 out of conference games this week. Because like Florida State plays Jacksonville State, Wake plays Campbell. We're not gonna. I don't even know if there's lines on those games. So let's start it off, Brian.
Somebody's betting on them, man. Somebody is.
Well, yeah. I mean, somebody's betting on it. But let's get this. Let's start. NC State Pitt. Pitt is laying 13.5 points to NC State. Brian, I'm going to lead with this one. Give me NC State. Give me 13.5 points against Pitt.
I'm right there with you. And I'll tell you this, I don't think Pitt is beating any ACC team by 14 points this season.
No. If they couldn't beat Syracuse, well, they beat Syracuse by 11.
Yeah.
No, they're not going to win it. And I know a lot of the stuff that NC State does plays into the strengths. I think Leary will start this weekend for them. And but I can't see 14.5. Just I don't think me and you can see Kenny Pickett getting them there. Oh me. All right. Second one, a little more interesting. Brian, Boston College, North Carolina. North Carolina laying the 13.5. What you got?
All right, give me UNC. I have no faith in BC anymore, especially if they can't run the ball.
I'm with you on this one too. BC, that Texas State game told a lot that if they can't force a boatload of turnovers, they're going to be in the struggle bus. Now UNC hadn't played in a couple weeks, so that might be. But I'm also hoping that UNC gets full of themselves by beating BC 35-14. And we walk into week 3 with them in their head in the clouds, don't know the Thunder's about to be brought. All right, Brian. I'm going to let you lead this one, too.
Okay.
UVA
All right, so
laying 29.
Man, you know what? Give me UVA in the points.
Okay.
I think it's going to be just under that. I think it's going to be like 24, 20, 27 points. So I think it's going to be just under that line.
All right. So Brian's taking UVA here. Are you thinking that Clemson's just going to turn off the supercharged team and let UVA sneak it in?
I think so. What I think is that UVA is even though they're not as, I think, top end good, I think they're a little deeper than they were last year, especially when they played Clemson. So I foresee kind of almost every time Clemson gets 2 scores, you're going to match that with a UVA score. So it's going to kind of come out in the end somewhere between 3 and 4 scores. And I'm going to just I'm going to say it's going to be just under 4 scores. So
Okay, just under 4 scores. In the words of Lee Corso, not too fast, my friend. And this is why I really am feeling the 28,
Okay.
29. You found it, for me at least, at a better line. Dabo is talking way too highly of UGA players this week. He
You
is.
think he's got some brand new?
I, I
He's about to bust out on their ass.
I think he is going to bust on their ass because I think people are, oh, they play nobody and, Wake's nobody. And I really see this game somewhere in the neighborhood of like 55-20.
Okay, so
I like,
in the same rough ballpark as the ACC
yeah,
championship game.
same ballpark. That was 62-17.
Yeah,
So
I said ballpark. I didn't.
I mean, that's one of those games
Somewhere
where
in the mid 50s to somewhere around 20 is what you're going for.
yeah, but the bowl game the ACC championship game last year. Hey, Brian, if anybody had walked to you and said, "We'll give you UVA and 42 points," you'd have been like, "Yeah, okay, that's cool."
Yeah.
They'd have been like, "Hey, you, knock, knock, knock. Where's my money?" And you'd have been like, "Lord, I gave you 6 touchdowns and you couldn't win." Yeah, I think they're going to door off. But
You might be right, man. You might be right.
I don't know. You're seeing Clemson having a heart. I see Clemson being heartless and trying to kill them. We will find out on
Going
Saturday.
for style points.
All right, Brian. Well, let's get out of the ACC. Let's drive way out west near the Salt Lake. Louisiana Tech, BYU. BYU is a 23.5-point favorite, 18 ranked. Louisiana Tech led by Skip Holtz. Always had success down there. And Brian, since I left with you with the last one, I'm going to lead with this one. And I'm going to take Louisiana Tech on this.
Okay.
Not that I don't think BYU is a good team. Just some of the things Louisiana Tech does on offense is a little bit funky than what BYU has seen to this point. I really wish BYU would have played Army, because I think that would have told us a lot more about BYU. Because if they did what Cincy did to them, you would be like, they're good, they're not great, but they're still a really good team. But 23.5 is a ton delay. That is a Friday night game at 9 o'clock. Me and you will probably have to make a decision if we want to watch a lot of football Saturday to watch that game.
Yep.
I probably definitely can't because my wife has given me permission. I'm playing around the golf Saturday morning, so I'm definitely not watching.
Hey.
Well,
Get golf in.
if I can sneak her into the cave and put it up top, maybe I can BS it. I want to watch some baseball too. And get rid of it. What do you think? What do you got? BYU.
I will do a brief interlude here. I've been shit talking him like ever since he left the Colts, but Pierre Desir just got a pick 6.
Okay.
So that game is a 2 conversion away from being a tie at 27 apiece.
Wow. Well, the over is done. Or the
Obliterated.
Yeah, the over is obliterated. Yeah.
And I'll get back to my my La Tech BYU pick here. I'm gonna take BYU. I liked what I saw from them in the highlights from last week and I watched a little bit of the first half. So I like what I'm seeing from them. I think they're gonna be able to pour it on, similar to what they did last week, even with La Tech bringing something a little different to the table. So give me BYU.
BYU putting it on there, laying at 23.5 points.
Yes, sir.
All right. Brian, let's go to Tuscaloosa. We'll let you lead with this one. Texas A&M, Alabama. Bama blows the doors off Missouri last weekend, no shot. Texas A&M only wins by 5 against Vandy. What you got?
Give me Bama. That's a 21-point game.
I'm with you on Bama. I think it's and I think and I'm going to continue to throw him under the bus because of what's happening.
Keep the Jimbo slander rolling.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was their first game. It was Vandy's first game. Vandy had some of their better players opt out. And you're here with Kellen Mond and a boatload of talent, and you beat them by 5? And I know some people are going to bullshit and say, well, they didn't want to show Bama the whole playbook. Dude, you should not have to show anything to beat Vandy by more than 5 points.
Truth.
Bama.
And I'll say it again. I mean, Vandy has a lot of similarities to Duke's program. I mean, and I'd say even in some cases a little bit of a lesser competition. I really think that A&M just really kind of shit the bed a little bit and let them hang around a lot longer than they should have. And I think Bama's going to be ready and jump over them. And it's going to be kind of a big margin early. I think A&M maybe does a little something to get it back to maybe a 2-touchdown game, and then Bama closes them out in the 4th.
All right. CBS 3:30 for that one. Hopefully I'll be watching it.
Hey.
It will be on one of the little screens. All right. Let's go to this one. This is going to be high noon kick in Big 12 country. TCU Texas at Texas. This is going to be, I believe, on Fox. So is this game doomed to get canceled like every other damn big noon game has been canceled on Fox? Potentially. But TCU
made it this far.
Made it this far. That's good. TCU Texas. Texas laying 11.5 points. Texas literally with a freaking miracle win last week against Texas Tech, doing some unbelievable things in the last few minutes there. TCU took a loss on the road at Iowa State by field goal. And that was a good competitive game back to back. They scored the touchdown really late that, pulled them to within 3. But who you got here, Brian?
Oh man. Is this kind of the game that we like? Yeah, if Texas wins it, are they going to say that Texas is back? Like, we hear it every year, man. We know it's going to eventually come. Fuck it, TCU wins outright.
Ooh, TCU wins outright. I don't know if they're going to win outright, Brian. But I'm going to agree with you that they're going to at least be within 11.5. I mean, clearly we saw last week that against a good Texas Tech offense that the Longhorns are hemorrhaging points, where TCU played a very good Iowa State defense and put 30 plus points on them. I think, man, yeah, TCU with the points. I'm going to see them covering that. You're calling outright win.
Yeah.
And play the money line. Let me just,
I'm trying to get Tom fired.
I don't know, man. Tom gets fired, and, we go win the ACC. Them bastards liable to sneak up into Blacksburg. Here's $200 million, be our coach. And if that happened, then, yeah, that's tough to turn down.
It's true.
All right. Final game, definitely the biggest game of the weekend. Number 4, Georgia. Number 8, Auburn, between the hedges. Saturday night, ESPN, 7:30. Georgia is laying, let's see, you put the line in here a few minutes ago, 6.5. Brian, you led the last one. I'm going to lead this one. And I told you earlier this week, and I'm still sticking by this. This is a smelly-ass line.
Yep.
Smelly-ass line. And I'm trying to figure out why it's so much when we saw Georgia with our own eyes in the first half against a terrible Arkansas team look like bulldog shit. Literally look like bulldog shit. And they come back and win.
Yep.
And then we see Auburn, who's playing, as we know from the bowl game, a very solid Kentucky team, really good defensively. Terry Wilson's back. Offense isn't, never going to probably be exactly what it is. They lose 29-13. In the line 6.5 Georgia. If you asked me after both those, I'd have been like, that's going to be like a 2.5, maybe a 3-point line, but it's 6.5. And I know JT Daniels, they say, is back. Transfer from USC.
Yep.
Guy that got approved in like 2 weeks by the NCAA. But this is a tough one, man. I'm going to say this. I think it's going to be a war. I think Georgia's going to win in the last few minutes of this game, but they're not going to win by more than a touchdown. Give me Auburn. Give me the 6.5 points.
Okay. I'm right there with you, man. This thing like. Does Vegas know that Auburn's going to be missing someone that we don't know about?
Exactly. Bo Nix and the stud wide receiver are both out. Well, shit. Man.
Yeah, because if you'd have said like 2.5, maybe even 3.5, Uga, I might would have said, all right, cool. But 6.5 just feels, yeah. Man, just for shits and giggles, I'm going to take Georgia to see if I can gain a game on you here.
Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a one-score game. I think Uga might squeak by, but I'm going to say they squeak by on a late touchdown versus a late field goal. So let's go Uga.
Let's go Uga, huh? All right, and as we already stated earlier, our prediction for the Virginia Tech and Duke game, Brian says 42-20. I say 41-24. Brian, what you smoking this weekend?
Man, I went to Aldi. They had some sirloin roast on sale, so I got a couple of those bad boys. Gonna sear them off, then leave them at 225 for about an hour and a half, then just close the dampers and let them get up to about 130, and then slice them up. So it's gonna be some good eats. Probably we'll come up with something to do sidewise to kind of accompany there, but maybe some potato skins or something like that. So should be some good eats for game day, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Very nice, man. Anything breaking other than San Diego hit another home run in the bottom of the 8th, and now they're up 11-8.
Hey. We actually got a good game on Thursday night despite the 2-0-3 matchups here, so I'm happy. I'll take it.
People that say this is a terrible game, no one will watch, which is going to be worth, that's what happens. You get a highly entertaining football game on Thursday nights, and for those people out there who are celebrating the down ratings for certain sports, well, here's my piece on that, and go out a little bit out of the box for it. One thing that you're probably seeing any downward trend in ratings, as it's been going for the last few years, is streaming services. I stream, you stream, my neighbor to my left streams, my neighbor down the street streams. The other piece is this. If games are getting hit, you're seeing an abundance of sports on TV at any one period of time. Yesterday, you had 8 baseball games along with the NBA Finals. The NBA Finals is Miami, LA.
Yep.
The biggest LA team played last night, baseball-wise. And as much as you want to knock the Miami Marlins, they played last night against Chicago. So, there's going to be people in those markets who could be fans of both that are going to go with one or the other.
Yeah.
And so people to go out there, especially if you're in the business of sports media, attacking and shitting on these ratings, you're a real moron. You essentially want yourself to be out of a job.
Yeah, I'll say this because I'll say this, and this is showing our consistency here. We said the same thing when the media was saying there shouldn't be any fall sports, and we're saying the same thing now. Why are people in the media essentially trying to manufacture their own demise with these doom and gloom situations? I can't get away from it, man. Anyone that's out there actively cheering for sports to have low ratings so that their political opinion looks more favorable, like, what are you doing, man? Like,
Brian, I want you to do something. You've done this as long as I've known you. What's the line from Gilbert Godfrey in Problem Child?
you're a moron. You're a moron. You know what you are? A moron.
And with that wraps up this episode of the Boundary Corner podcast. I am Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
Please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, subscribe to us for on your favorite podcast subscription, including Spotify and Apple. As always, we let our buddy Jason Long play us out. Catch him on Spotify and Apple Music. We thank you for listening, and as always, let's go.
Hokies.